Hey, how's it going? I just wanted to do a quick video. Just kind of making a video for anybody who's thinking about being a construction project manager and what they should be doing in order for them to be able to increase their chances of being able to get a job in the field. And then some things that I wish somebody would have told me before I went into this role. One of the first things I would say is try to find a mentor. Try to find somebody who's already doing what you're trying to do. That way they can give you as much knowledge as possible about the role. I would say be very cautious about taking any advice from anybody who's not in the role that you're trying to do, because a lot of this stuff is very specific to the role. So having a construction background definitely helps. If you don't have that background, it's not something that would necessarily disqualify you from being able to be in that role. I meet a lot of engineers and architects who don't know anything about construction. They know about structures, they know about the loads that certain platforms are supposed to have, what materials have certain PSIs and those type of things, but they don't know how to do sheetrock or how to frame a wall up or those type of things. So if you don't know construction, don't feel like you can't do something like being a construction project manager. Also, I would say if you can, try to get on some job sites, and if you wanted to go the route of trying to do anything, like as far as learning construction, try to connect with some people that are already doing it, small businesses, contractors, subcontractors, and try to learn as much as you possibly can. Spend a lot of time on YouTube or other platforms, learning as much as you possibly can, because it's only going to make it easier for you to be able to shine in that role if you do have that knowledge. Without it, like I said, it's not impossible for you to be able to get those roles, but it just builds a different level of confidence when you do know the construction or the components behind the construction that you're going to be working on. I would say the biggest thing that's going to make it possible for you to be able to get a role like this is to be somebody who is really organized. That goes for any type of manager, but more specifically construction management, because you're going to be responsible for purchasing materials. You're going to be responsible for the scheduling with your guys to have them on a job site, and because certain tasks overlap and others don't. And then ideally, by being organized, you can stay on top of things before somebody ends up bringing those things up to your attention. And then I would say ask as many questions as possible when you're dealing with these different people. I'm fortunate enough that I can always call our architect or text them or email them if I have any questions about what we need in order for us to pass an inspection, in order for us to meet the benchmarks for code, what documents I need in certain situations. If I'm going to be going to City Hall, hey, do I need this? Do I need that? If there's any modifications that need to be made. So just to give you an example, we're working on a house right now, and it's a rehab. So in the process of us changing the house around, the goal wasn't to change any of the layout other than add a half bathroom. Because we made the decision to add that half bathroom, the city asked us to get an architectural drawing specifying where that bathroom was supposed to be going. That wasn't something that we initially thought that we would even have to do. So as a result of it, it just delayed the process of us being able to move forward on the project just that much more. Fortunately, he did it in a timely manner. But by us having that document or just having an architect ready to go, it just expedited a process that probably would have taken us way longer, because we weren't planning on using an architect for that particular project. Because there's certain codes around what's required and what's not. So had we lived inside the property doing the renovations, they probably wouldn't have asked us for an architectural drawing. But because my company doesn't plan on living inside of the house and don't live inside the house, they asked us to produce those drawings. So I would say have those contractors on standby. Be willing to ask as many questions as possible, and always feel comfortable with not knowing. I think a lot of times when I'm dealing with people, no matter whether it's in construction or not, They always want to act like they know something. And I find that that's one of the biggest downfalls that a lot of people have, because instead of saying, hey, I don't know what this thing is, asking somebody what you need to know or what their experience is with X, Y, and Z, you would just continue the rest of your life potentially not knowing unless you overhear somebody talking about that thing. And you got to hope that you're intelligent enough to not disrupt them in the process of them trying to educate you on things. So one of the last things I like to say is I know. There's always so much more to learn, and you find that in different ways, even though it might be effective for you, there's always ways to increase efficiency. Another thing I would say that you want to do if you're getting into this is you want to spend some time getting some software. Me, I do a lot of stuff on calendars. It just helps me stay organized, and I'm getting alerts to my phone, and those alerts just keep me on track. That way I never have to keep everything in my mind. I have a tendency to just try to do everything off of memorization. I find that sometimes it works, but it doesn't work 100% of the time. And hell, even with the calendars, sometimes the calendar doesn't even like notify me and stuff. It'll be on the calendar, but maybe I forget to hit the notification for every event that I have on my calendar. So that's something else that I would really say is try to get some software. Like I said, I'm using calendars that just come with the phone. I wouldn't even really consider that a software. I would say that's one of the areas that I plan on like trying to really explore and spend some time looking into that, because that would be an expense that I would cover, like me as an individual. I wouldn't even ask for the company that I work for to try to cover that. That's just something to help me stay organized. Because everybody else, they just use Excel sheets. So we use Gantt charts and then we mark out all the different things that we have to do. But I want something that's a little bit more in depth, something that's going to let me know, I guess, in more of a time restraint, as opposed to just doing everything, having it in blocks based on months. And then I would like to have it integrated with the current calendar. That way I know whether or not I'm on track. Of course, these things are always changing, and that's why it's important to also have that calendar. That way you can always reference what you're supposed to be doing for the day. So on top of me managing the projects that I'm working on, I also have to manage builds. So builds are when I have a group of volunteers that I got to train in construction for the day. I might have a group of like 15 people, 20 people. It really all depends on the company. And I'm responsible for teaching them construction for the day. When I have those type of days, I'm not really on the phone like that. I'm away from my phone. I'm trying to make sure that everybody's safe on the job site, make sure that everybody has a task, and then make sure that if somebody's messing something up, that I step in fast enough that I can address it before they spend the entire day doing something with the wrong format. So with me understanding that I have those type of days, I try to spend days like the day that I had today really organizing everything. So if I got to go to Home Depot, I go to Home Depot and I make whatever trips I got to make to go pick up the materials, so that way when I am on the job site, I don't have to go to Home Depot on the same day that we're going to be doing the work. I call all my contractors that I have active projects with. I get a quick update. Hey, when are you going to be able to come over here? Hey, did you update your license? Hey, did you send me the email with the proposal? I do those type of things on days like I had today. So today I woke up, I spoke to my framer, who's also doing the installation for us. So he's doing the installation, he's doing the sheetrock for us, and then he did some framing for us. So I was coordinating with him already over the last 2 weeks for us to pass a framing inspection. We passed the inspection. Now we're at the phase where we're doing the installation. So in order for us to be able to close the walls up on the house, we have to do the installation phase. So we already bought all the insulation last week. And then he calls me this morning saying that he doesn't have staples for the staple gun. So I had to rush over to Home Depot, go grab some, and then bring them to him just so that he can, I guess, start. Well, not even really start, because he had already started putting the insulation in place, but in order for him to staple it, which is required for it to stay in place. So I had to go and run and get that for him today. And then after that, I had to go over and meet my plumber. So I had a hot water tank in my van over the weekend, waiting for him to install it. And I didn't want to just drop it off to the location with because it's not in the best of areas that this project is in. So I left it inside the van, That way it wasn't an issue with somebody potentially taking it or anything like that. So I had to meet him at the job site. He showed me some things that he was seeing, some things that he's seen as potential issues for him to install it. Had a conversation with him, gave him full access to the property, told him what needed to be done when he leaves the property. That way we know that the area is secure. And then after that, I had to go back and check on some other things, like go back to the property. So I went, checked on the installation, see how they were doing. Then I went to go check on another client. So he's in a wheelchair, so I went to go bring him some food, because we also have like a food pantry. So there was some food that was left for him that I gave him today, and then checked on the work, see how everything had dried, because I was at the property on Saturday. I just wanted to make sure that the thin sit that we were using was the right consistency and that everything dried the way it was supposed to dry, and then just check over the work that the last group did, so that when I have this next group, I'm not spending days trying to fix those things the same day that the guys potentially mess those things up. So if I needed to address anything, that I would spend that time to address it. Then I also had a meeting about some people, with some people about some of the local projects that we got going on, who were interested in how they could potentially contribute to that. So that's how my day went. And I would say you got to take as many notes as possible. Always write things down. Don't leave anything to memory. Always ask questions. And yeah, so this is just the first of many videos that's kind of explaining this. I'll have some more videos coming in the future explaining all these things. These are just things that I'm learning as I'm a year into this at this particular company. The format of this company is not the same way it's going to be at every company. I'm at a nonprofit organization, so our priorities are a little bit different than a traditional contractor, but I would say that my role overall encompasses everything that a traditional contractor has to do, but it also has some nuances associated with being a nonprofit organization, like the volunteers. Most contractors wouldn't be dealing with a group of volunteers on a job site. So yeah, just wanted to leave this video here. And anybody who's looking into getting into construction management, if you want to reach out to me personally, I'll put some information in the description. Reach out to me on Instagram. I don't think you can message on YouTube, but yeah, reach out to me if you have any questions.